We all long to feel safe enough to be fully seen, to let someone close without needing to hide our softer, more vulnerable parts. But so many of us have learned to love through armor. We protect ourselves from rejection, disappointment, and pain. We measure our words, tighten our hearts, and call it strength. The walls we build don't just keep us safe, they keep out intimacy and block real connection. Yet real strength is not in the walls we build, but in the safety we create within ourselves to let those walls come down. Because every relationship we have depends on the safety we feel inside our own body. You can only open as deeply as you feel safe to stay open. You can only be as vulnerable with another as you are with yourself. When we feel unsafe within, love becomes something to control or earn. We overanalyze texts. We anticipate rejection. We bend ourselves into shapes that keep the peace. These patterns are not failures. They are adaptations. They are what your nervous system learned to do when love once felt uncertain. Maybe you grew up walking on eggshells around a parent's moods. Maybe you learned that being too honest, too emotional, too yourself led to disapproval. Maybe you decided long ago that self-protection was safer than self-expression. Those lessons kept you safe once, but now they are walls between you and the closeness you crave. Love, after all, cannot reach a heart that is braced for impact. The healing begins not in trying to tear the walls down all at once, but in learning to make your inner world a place that feels safe to soften. This is the work of self-love. It is not indulgence, but security. It's not just telling yourself, I am enough. It's showing yourself through action that you can be trusted, that your boundaries will hold, that you will not abandon yourself the next time love feels uncertain. True intimacy begins when you can stay open in the presence of fear, when you can feel the trembling of your heart and still say, I am safe here, I can stay. Because safety does not come from someone else's reassurance. It comes from the quiet confidence that whatever arises, you can meet it with care. I once worked with someone who had built an entire life around staying safe. She kept her schedule full, her emotions in check, and her relationships at a comfortable distance. When love came too close, she found reasons to pull away. She would say, it's not the right time. I'm too busy. They deserve someone less complicated. But underneath those words was a deeper truth. She didn't trust that her heart could handle being open. Together, we practiced tiny moments of softening. When she felt the urge to withdraw, she would pause, breathe, and place her hand over her heart. Sometimes she would whisper, "It's safe to stay." The first time she did this, she cried, not because she was broken, but because she realized she'd been holding her breath for years. Slowly, love stopped feeling like a threat. Her shoulders relaxed. Her laughter came easier. The relationship she was in deepened, not because she found the perfect partner, but because she found safety within herself. Think of your heart as a home. Perhaps for years you've locked its doors, boarded the windows, and stood guard. You peeked out sometimes, but you never felt quite safe enough to let anyone all the way in. The light of love knocked, but you were still checking for danger. Now imagine lighting a small lamp inside. You sweep the floors, you open a window, you breathe fresh air into the space. You don't fling the door open immediately, but you begin to prepare the home of your heart for visitors who are kind, patient, and true. This is how safety grows. It grows slowly, deliberately, and lovingly. It begins with noticing. When someone offers you affection, do you pull away or deflect? When a friend asks you how you are really doing, do you change the subject? When you long to reach out, do you tell yourself, they're probably too busy? Notice, what are you protecting yourself from? You do not need to shame these instincts. You only need to see them clearly, because the moment you notice them, you begin to remember that your heart doesn't need to stay in hiding. The path to connection isn't about tearing your armor off. It's about learning that you don't need it anymore. So here is a gentle reflection for you this week. When you feel the urge to close, pause. Take a slow breath and ask yourself, what would feel safe for me right now? Maybe it's staying in the conversation a few seconds longer. Maybe it's telling someone you trust, I'm feeling tender today. Maybe it's letting a compliment land without deflecting it. Each moment of softening builds the foundation of inner safety, and that safety over time becomes the ground where love can truly root. Love that is secure doesn't mean love without fear. It means love that can breathe alongside fear. Love that says, I can stay open here. When we build safety within, we stop mistaking vulnerability for danger. We realize it is not a weakness, but the doorway to the intimacy we have always wanted. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to watch this video next about self-love as the first step towards soulful relationships. Because when you can hold yourself through uncertainty, love stops being something you chase. It becomes something you can finally receive. May you build a home within yourself, sturdy enough to open the doors. May you trust that your heart can stay soft and safe at the same time. And may you remember that your tenderness is not a weakness, it is your strength. I leave you with much love and gratitude.